Welcome everyone to today's launch on World University Research Rankings brought to you by World Scientific and WURR Consultancy. The event will begin shortly. Once again, welcome everyone. A few housekeeping notes before we kick off the session. All right, please have your cameras off and your mics muted. There will be a Q&A session after talk, and the launch will be recorded and posted online. Now, universities all around the world are currently ranked by a few prominent entities, including Quacquarelli Symonds and Times Higher Education. Each year, universities will use their rank on these two benchmarks to do better. Perceiving an important gap in the methodology in ranking universities, World Scientific and WURR Consultancy collaborated in jointly publishing the World University Research Ranking, also known as WURR. To kick off the session, I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Phua Kok Khoo, Chairman, World Scientific, to say a few words. Dr. Phua, please. Dr. Phua.
Okay, yes, I think as a chairman, it's our great honors jointly launch this World University Research Ranking. As I believe that World Scientific is a largest scientific publishing house in Asia. So it's also that's why it's our duty to have this ranking together with other organizations. Yeah. As you know that every year, World Scientific publish about 400 to 500 new books. And we have more than 150 journals in operation. So with this ranking of the World University Research, I think we can really contribute in an effective way. That means we can provide a lot of information. And another important point that we can contribute is we have office in, apart from headquarters in Singapore, India, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing, and of course, we also have big operation in London and New York. So we combine all the overseas office. We can really do a good job to provide updated information for this ranking. So we are looking forward to have a close collaboration. And I also know that this ranking is going to put out or to collect or change the information every 6 months or every year. So I think this is a really ongoing ranking for the next 10, 20, or even longer years to come. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Phua. Now we will have Professor Yeo Kiat Seng, author of the WURR, to introduce us to say a few words as well as introduce us to this new and exciting ranking system. Prof. Yeo, please.
Thank you, Jason. Let me pull up my presentation slide. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the World University Research Ranking 2020 launch event. I'm Yeo Kiat Seng, author of the World University Research Ranking 2020. First, let me introduce myself. I'm the Associate Provost for Research and International Relations at the Singapore University of Technology and Design, SUTD in short. I have more than 30 years of experience in industry, academia, and consultancy. So before joining SUTD, I was a full professor at Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, and spent 13 years in management positions. My research interests includes semiconductors, telecommunications, and RF millimeter wave integrated circuit design. I was elevated to an IEEE fellow for my contribution to low power IC design. So the World University Research Ranking, WURR in short, is a university ranking index based on a novel methodology designed to evaluate research multidisciplinary. It is complemented by indicators to gauge research impact and research collaborativeness. Together, these three key aspects make up the composite index for the WURR. As the first of its kind, WURR is designed to measure and benchmark multidisciplinary collaborative research, wholly derived from performance-centric, evidence-based data. It offers a unique, unvarnished insights for organizations in the 3P sectors, that is, private, public, and people, to identify university partners best positions to deliver optimum returns on R&D investments, so as to create game-changing, transformational impact. WURR presents an in-depth, wide-ranging studies of about 12.7 million Web of Science documents. The study was conducted across a 10-year time frame from 2009 to 2018 for 250 global universities. The results and findings, including analysis by geographical representation, that is location and region, and correlation between these indicators and aspects, are published in detail in the WURR report. WURR evaluates three key components: research multidisciplinary, research impact, and research collaborativeness. Together, these indicators are used to enhance research excellence. To quantitatively measure these three aspects, 7 key indicators were selected with Web of Science as a source of data. These include percentage of multi-field documents, percentage of multi-category documents, category normalized citation impact, CNCI in short, percentage of documents in the top 1%, percentage of documents in Q1 journals, percentage of industry collaboration, and percentage of international collaborations. So the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD in short, scheme in Web of Science Insights is used for the WURR. It includes 42 categories, as shown here, under 6 major fields. A multi-category document is defined as a document which is classified in 2 or more OECD categories within the same field. And a multi-field document is defined as a document which is classified in 2 or more OECD fields based on its research areas in Web of Science. I'm sure the audience is keen to know how is WURR different from the other global universities ranking. The WURR is a fully based on actual research publication data from an independent source, that is Web of Science. It does not require data from universities and does not attribute any weightage to surveys of opinions. So there are 5 most notable observations of these university rankings. Number 1, surveys of opinion play a significant role. Number 2, the top of these rankings is dominated by older, bigger, more renowned universities from a few countries. Number 3, methodologies may not be easily replicated to quickly verify results. Number 4, negligible weightage for industry and international collaboration. And number 5, absence of indicator measuring research multidisciplinary. Let me give you 2 quotes. Quote number 1 is from Mr. Barham. He's the former director of Higher Education Policy Institute, United Kingdom, and he commented that the international surveys of reputation should be dropped because they skew the results in favor of a small number of institutions. Another quote by Professor Philip Albert, and he's the research professor and founding director of the Center for International Higher Education at Boston College, United States. And he noted that some of AWRU criteria clearly privilege older, prestigious Western universities, particularly those that have produced or can attract a Nobel Prize winner. So what is the future? The future clearly is multidisciplinary collaboration. It is no longer an option when it comes to solving fast-paced, complex, and real-world problems. So when we compete, we see people or things as relative, but when we collaborate, we see people and things as related. So in fact, in the 21st century, we have to find new equilibrium between competition and collaboration, between innovation and implementation, as well as between technology and talent. And as indicated in the UNESCO Science Report towards 2030, there is growing internationalization and multipolarization of scientific production, research and innovation with countries and scientists collaborating across borders and disciplines to solve pressing problems and long-term challenges. It is therefore timely to relook at how university research performance are assessed with respect to how they are able to harness the synergies created from bringing together multidisciplinary and collaborative teams to tackle research problems, in addition to sustaining research impact. So let me give you an example. So the combination of 5G, artificial intelligence, AI, and drones, these are very important areas, will bring change at a speed, scale, and scope unlike anything we have experienced before. It will affect the very essence of human experience. So the interplay between them will create realities that were previously unthinkable and impossible. Although the advent of these technologies will display low-level unskilled jobs, it will create high-level skilled jobs which are harder to be replaced by smart machine alone. So Singapore's success is no miracle because the people understand that any gaps in knowledge, income, and generation in society will prevent her from rising to the top. So we are constantly looking for new ideas and sometimes defying traditional wisdom. We keep learning through collaborating with others and adapting them to our own needs. Our success is in fact determined by our ability to attract the best and the brightest people from around the region and also the world, and our ability to nurture people of diverse skills and ability. So it's not just about having an open economy, it is also about innovation. It's also about exchange of ideas, collaboration across borders, and skill for the future. Therefore, we must integrate global perspectives into our education and economic mission and produce graduates who can work in different and across continents, countries, cities, communities, culture, and companies. I call them as the new 6Cs. So finally, higher education is no longer about knowledge creation and transfer. The 21st century education plays an increasingly role as it integrates global perspective into its teaching and research mission. Hence, we need to nurture T-shaped graduates who have broad knowledge and deep skill. But we all know the letter T has a small base and is not stable, but it can be toppled easily. However, if it topples in the right direction as shown here, it forms a Chinese character, Ren, and this is when human beings understand the true purpose of life and education. I think with this, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Prof. Yeo, for the excellent insights. We have learned a lot from the presentation. At this juncture, we have a guest speaker, Ms. Mandy Mok, founder and CEO of Applied HE, to share her thoughts with us on university rankings, past, present, and future. Ms. Mandy, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. For those who don't know me, my name is Mandy Mok, and I have been with QS for the last 17 years and have contributed significantly to its global branding and brand equity. I've played a big part in monetizing the QS rankings and created many memorable products and events for the company like QS Apple, QS Maple, Wow News, the Top Universities Guide, just to name a few. I've recently started my own Singapore-based company, Applied HE, which is an international evaluation and branding agency for the higher education sector. But enough about me. Now I would like to thank the organizers, World Scientific, for giving me the opportunity to speak at this launch. And thanks also to you, the audience, for joining us today. Allow me to start by saying that this is a historic launch. It is not just historic because from today onwards, the world will have a new university ranking system. To me, it is historic because this is the first global university ranking that is from Southeast Asia and from Singapore. Most of the global university rankings are from the United Kingdom, or they favor mostly Western universities with great legacies, such as the ARWU, also known as the Shanghai Jiao Tong ranking, which includes the number of Nobel winners or Nobel prizes an institution is affiliated with, even though the Nobel Prize winners themselves may have passed on long ago. None of these rankings is particularly suitable to the situation here in Southeast Asia, where more than 100 new universities have been set up during the past decades, and where the society and social economic priorities are very different from those in the advanced economies of Europe and North America. So my warm congratulations to Professor Yeo Kiat Sing for taking the initiative in developing the World University Research Rankings. And in doing so, he has put our home, Singapore, on the world map and highlighted the fact that it is time for a more Asia-centric university ranking system. World University Rankings matter a great deal in higher education. Why? Because they're used by students and parents to decide where to study. They're used by employers to decide whom to hire. They're used by governments to issue visas. They're used to make decisions on research funding, collaborative partnerships, etc. So the way in which university rankings are designed can have a great influence in shaping higher education policies. To some extent, the university rankings agencies have become the rule makers, and universities in Asia and elsewhere have become the rule takers. Given the power of the rankings, it is perhaps surprising that World University Rankings are a relatively new phenomenon, as the first World University Rankings is less than 20 years old. I joined QS Quacquarelli Symonds in 2002, and 2 years later in 2004, they launched the first edition of what was then called Times Higher QS World University Rankings. It was a simple but powerful idea, like let's compare all the world's universities against a single standard and see what happens. And as is often the case with new ideas, it was not well received at all by many universities' presidents and vice chancellors. As the lone QS representative covering Asia, the Middle East, and Africa back then from my home office here in Singapore, I was yelled at, verbally abused, and even threatened with lawsuits. How dare QS rank famous University X so low? It is an outrage that famous University Y is not on the top 100. Why do you have to create rankings and destroy our peace and give us so much stress? And the abuse just goes on and on. You get the picture. It was a different world back then. Today, World University Rankings are a well-established phenomenon, and their authority is largely unquestioned. They regularly feature in news reports, and rankings performance is often held up as evidence of progress or decline. The rankings play to our human nature. We all love a competition. And to the layman, university rankings are a bit like sports scores. Who won, who lost, and everyone enjoys a quick peek into the human drama behind it, like which university president got promoted or demoted because their rankings went down, a happy or upset minister of education, questions or congratulations from political and business leaders, etc., etc. University rankings also simplify the complexity. A university's performance is reduced to a single rank with a clearly established hierarchy. It simplifies the decision-making of students, of parents, of governments, and of employers. But it also ignores the complexity that exists in higher education because a university cannot be summarized by a single number. The activities it undertakes, the stakeholders it serves, and the diversity it contains are grossly oversimplified. For this reason, it is important to have more than one ranking because each ranking has a certain focus and with it a certain bias. Multiple rankings essentially reflect different views of higher education. Research is an important component in most university rankings, and in this sense, the World University Research Rankings follows an established path. In part, the focus on research is driven by the availability of cytometric data, which is impartial and relatively easy to access using databases of scientific publications. Therefore, the focus on research is justified because research is one of the primary missions of a world-class university, so it is only natural to emphasize it. New innovations in rankings are occurring. People are questioning whether research is not being overemphasized or because research can be measured in many different ways. The World University Research Rankings, as its name very transparently suggests, is plainly focused on research. The use of the word research is very welcoming because many of the existing world university rankings, although they claim to be holistic in their methodology, are in fact hidden research rankings. In a recent paper by Alan Hazelcorn and Andrew Gibson in Palgrave Communications, the authors argue that the rankings rank only one model of university, the research-intensive universities with lots of resources. The research universities is the university model that occupies the top 10 of almost all the world university rankings, like your MIT, Harvard, Stanford, Caltech, Imperial College, Oxford, Cambridge, etc. But there are many other kinds of universities out there that also fulfill an important mission, like the university that develops depressed regions of the country, or the university that serves the needs of particular social groups, just to name a few examples. The World University Research Ranking transparently measures research, which is an important contribution in itself. They also measure research in exciting new ways, notably in terms of collaborative research and multidisciplinary research. And this addition shifts perception about university research. While the research impact measure gives more traditional results, the collaborative research measure seems to heavily favor continental European universities, which occupy virtually all the top places for this indicator. And this is not surprising because the European Union is increasingly integrated politically and economically, and clearly its universities have been involved in this process. The multidisciplinary research indicator also gives some surprising results, placing a number of Asian universities among the top 10, notably UTM, University Technology Malaysia, our neighbors in Johor, and City University of Hong Kong. Singapore's very own NTU is in 12th position, and Malaysian universities in general seem to excel in multidisciplinary research, which sheds a fascinating new light on university research in our neighboring country. These kinds of results are important because they can shift the conversation about what university research should achieve and how it should be measured. In that sense, I am confident that the World University Research Ranking is a valuable addition to the global discourse. But we also need rankings innovation in other areas. We need to become better at measuring employability. We need to become better in measuring industry and employer perceptions of higher education institutions. We need to address sustainability and social responsibility in a more holistic way. And these are the areas where I see higher education rankings and ratings innovation heading next. The other area is reorienting from world to local, because the higher education options for the vast majority of students are local. Therefore, local impact, local stakeholder perceptions, and local collaborations can matter far more than what is happening at the global level. At Applied HE, the company that I founded earlier this year, we're keen to embrace university rankings innovation, because we realize the importance of rankings to society, and we strongly believe in a diversity of different measures and perspectives. Our approach is slightly different, as we are currently producing ratings and not rankings, which focus on employability, quality of teaching and learning, collaboration with industry, so a very complementary fit to the World University Research Rankings. We also produce a rating for English as a medium of instructions. If these are areas of interest amongst our many other innovative marketing and branding tools, do check out our website, appliedhe.com. In my view, the global field of rankings, ratings, and other higher education evaluation tools must be as diverse as the global higher education sector itself. So allow me to congratulate Professor Yeo once again on producing the World University Research Rankings. You have done us proud, Prof. Yeo, here in Singapore and Southeast Asia, and you have added a clear and important voice to this global debate. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Mandy. Right now, we have Dr. Rick Lee, General Manager, World Scientific, to give us a demonstration of the WURR website. Dr. Lee, please.
Hi, everyone. Welcome for the World University Ranking launch. Now I'm going to show you what this ranking is all about. First of all, if you want to take a look at the ranking, you can go to this URL called worldresearchranking.com. The design of this particular website, we try to make it as functional and easy to access, and you can get what you want immediately. For example, once you launch to this website, you can see the ranking result right away. Here, you have different columns to show you what is the university name. The location means where is either the country or the city, and the region. And the overall normalized score and the ranking, and the 3 different aspects of the ranking, which the global ranking are based on. The multidisciplinarity rank, the impact rank, and the collaborativeness rank. At the same time, you also classify all these universities based on the size. Either it's a large university or small, or a university has been around for many years, over 100 years, or those only less than 10 years. Now, let me give you a simple demonstration. For example, look at the overall ranking. This is the listing. The first one is MIT, and then followed by University in Dartmouth, Switzerland, and so on. What if we go back to the tradition? That means people normally look at the impact. When I do a search, this is based on the impact. Now, you can see all those famous universities are all listed up here. But on the other hand, if you look at those collaborativeness ranking, if I sort by collaborativeness ranking, some of the very newer universities will show up. Those are the universities probably you seldom will hear about. And at the same time, if we sort by multidisciplinary ranking, the other type of university will come up. At the same time, if you want to have some idea what is the size of, based on the size of the university, for example, the really famous university, but bigger university are also show up here. You can do all this sorting and so on and so forth. Like here, if I want to look at those very new university, these are some of the very new university. Okay. Now, another interesting thing is on this website, we provide a simple search. This search function actually is a free text search. If I say I type Singapore, then you can list out all the university. Actually, in this 250 university that are listed here, the 2 of them are in this ranking. And same thing, if I want to know about university that are national university, and the university that are national university are also up here. So this search function gives you some idea how to find a particular university very easily. The website, if you want to know more about the methodology, actually the website just now, Prof. Yo also mentioned about it, but the detail, actually you can get it from here. He mentioned about the 3 main aspects and 7 different indicators. Okay, they are all listed here. What are the 3 aspects? The research multidisciplinarity, research impact, and research collaborativeness. And how individual indicators are being classified, and how are they being measured, and the weightage of all the 7 indicators. Now, this website just gives you a very brief overview of all the ranking. But if you want to know more, actually is in the publications. If you are interested and want to know more detail, actually a lot of detail are not cannot be presented in the website, are also listed in the publication. For those who are interested, can go to World Scientific website. You can purchase the electronic version of the article or the print version. For university who want to purchase it to share among the university, please contact us directly. We have a way that allow you to share within the university. But I would like to take this opportunity to give everyone an overview of this particular research article that talk about the whole World University Research Ranking, the methodology, the analysis. let me go to the top. Okay, this is the whole the article. That is what it's look like. Okay, and at the very beginning, you will see an executive summary to summarize the result and the methodology of the ranking. And the table of content will give you some idea what is inside, and this the whole article also include the data that they have used to come up with the ranking. But when I first look at this article, when Prof. Yo showed me this one, I was very amazed certain areas that I would like to share with you. This particular area is on the comparison of the research. Now, this part, I think that this is not shown in the website, but it's only in the paper that you can see. Some of the interesting part that I would find very informative is, for example, when they are doing the comparison based on size, the age, and the location. Okay. First of all, look at the size. You look at this. This is the global result of all 250. And if you look at the multidisciplinarity, so the average around 63.7%. But the interesting part is if you compare the rest, these are based on the largest university, and this is the smallest university. And you find that actually the smaller university are more focusing on multidisciplinarity. They are doing better on that. And at the same time, in the collaborativeness, the smallest university are always doing better than the traditional bigger university. So this is one thing that I find it very interesting. The second one, which I think Ms. Mock also mentioned about, and Prof. Yo also mentioned about, those universities have been around for a long time. This chart shows you the score based on their age. On the three main aspects, the green one again, you just look at this. You can see very interesting part is those universities that are not particularly old, less than 50 years, or in fact, less than 10 years, they do much better on the multidisciplinarity ranking than the traditional one. At the same time, the collaborativeness, that means the newer universities are focusing more on these two areas. And definitely in terms of impact, yes, they may not be as good as those universities has been around for a long time. So I think this is also another interesting fact that using this methodology, you can see this kind of results. Last but not least, I would like to show another one. This is based on the location, the region. Now, globally, the green one, the multidisciplinarity is 63 something. But if you look at Asia, we know that in the past decade or so, Asia has been doing very actively in all kinds of research. And one of them actually is related to the multidisciplinarity research. And it really stands out here. You can see the result. And same thing with Oceania and South America. Now, on the other hand, the impact-wise is still the North America and Europe, because they've been around for a long time and they have very famous, very well-known researcher on that regard, and the type of publication that they have, that's why their score are much higher. And at the same time, if you look at the collaborativeness, it's still European are more mature in the sense. So all these three, just look at these three different areas, you will find that a lot of interesting facts are coming out based on this university ranking. If you want to know more, I urge you to take a copy and study it carefully, because you may draw a different conclusion using a different way. But I would say that this is a very objective way of looking into the research. And a lot of people, if you want, you can replicate the answer if you want. So without further ado, I think I will stop it here For those who are interested to get a copy, please try to get a copy or contact us, and feel free to comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lee, for the demonstration of the WURR site. At this juncture, we are opening up the Q&A session that Prof. Yeo himself would take. And there are 6 questions that have come in. All right, I'll be moving them through one after another, and Prof. Yeo will take the responses to them. All right, the first one being, it seems to me that WURR focuses primarily on applied research. Does it mean that basic research is less or no longer important, Prof. Yeo?
I think this is not true. Both applied and basic research are equally essential. In fact, WURR covers 6 research fields and 42 research categories in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development classification scheme, totaling 12.7 million of documents in the Web of Science Insight from 2009 to 2018. So the 6 research fields include natural science, engineering and technology, medical health sciences, even social sciences and humanities. And for the 42 research categories, it includes electrical and electronic engineering, computer science, mechanical, earth science, medicines, and even economics, law, art, languages, and history. Specifically, WURR covers all areas of research, not just applied or basic research. But we recognize that basic research is the essential foundation to support applied research downstream. I hope I answered this question.
All right, Prof. Yeo, the second question that has come in is multidisciplinary and collaboration do not necessarily result in impactful research. Do you agree with this statement, and what is your view on it, Prof?
Research multidisciplinary research, collaborativeness, and research impact, there are the 3 aspects that forms this holistic assessment of university research performance, which no single aspect or indicator will be able to adequately reflect. So as the global environment and societal challenges grow increasingly complex, multi-dimensional, or even multifaceted, such as those pertaining to global pandemic that we have experienced and is still happening now, climate change, aging population, sustainability, and urbanization. Universities are impelled to adopt a more multidisciplinary and collaborative approach towards research in pursuit of more holistic and efficacious solutions to deliver societal impact. So we would like to frame this as a lens to encourage more discussion in a progressive and positive manner. And these rankings are usually not the ends. They are the ones of the means that real ends of helping universities improve themselves to better serve societal needs. Thank you.
All right, Prof. Yeo, how about this? How did you select the 250 universities in the WURR? I think everyone's keen to know.
Okay. The 250 top global university in WURR was selected actually based on QS 2020 World University Ranking to provide a basis for comparison, analysis of ranking results between the 2 very different approaches and methodologies.
Okay, and the research impact would include research income, patents, TDs, and spin-off companies from the universities. But why are they not included in WURR?
Well, I think this is a very good question. Yes, I agree that research impact would include research income, patents, TD, and so on and so forth. But however, currently, data at the global level remains largely fragmented and inaccessible. So it's therefore something we have considered seriously and hope to do so in the future.
All right. And the next question, how did you compute or measure the part on the percentage multi-field documents and percentage multi-category documents, the part that was shown earlier?
Well, this is computed based on the research areas denoted for each of the publications in the Web of Science and OECD. We stand for Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development Classification Scheme. And because there are 12.7 million of documents in the Web of Science from 2009 to 2018, so we have to write our own software programs to extract the relevant data for the percentage of multi-field documents, as well as the percentage for the multi-category documents. So it's actually a lot of work. Yeah.
All right. And the final question for the day that's coming, this is a bit lengthy, so I'll just read it out a little slowly so that everyone can catch it. And it says that generally the bigger universities will have more documents in Q1 journals, and multi-field documents, multi-category documents, industry collaboration, and international collaboration than the smaller ones. However, if these indicators for the bigger universities are normalized, their percentages will appear to be lower than the smaller universities. Can you please comment on this and whether you have plans to revise these indicators in the future, Prof?
Well, it's a long question, and I'll try my best to give a concise reply. Yes, we have analyzed and compare differences between universities of different sizes, bearing in mind not to draw conclusions prematurely from a limited population size of only maybe 10 small university and about 30 plus medium university in these studies of 250 global top universities. So observations as of now shows no clear discernible difference in research impact. But smaller universities on average appear to be more collaborative and multidisciplinary than the bigger ones. This may be due to smaller universities lacking critical mass and therefore compelling these universities to sharpen their competitive advantage in other areas, such as expanding their network of partnerships and collaborations on multiple fronts. Of course, we are always open to improving and refining our indicators in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Yeo, for responding to all the questions that have come in. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of today's launch. Thank you all for attending, and thank you, Dr. Phua, Mrs. Phua, Professor Yeo, Dr. Lee, and Ms. Mandy Mok. Do share about the WURR with your friends and colleagues so that they can know all about it. It has been a delight having all of you. Have a good evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.